Got any identification on you, fella?
I haven't got any on me, no.
What's your name, buddy?
Am I obliged to give it you?
It would help with our
I'm not being
inquiries, yeah, 'cause
awkward,
we don't
but,
want to make it any more difficult for you.
Right.
So I just want to check you out in our system to make sure you aren't any sort of security threat to the airport or us.
Right.
So it's up to you.
Yeah.
At this stage you don't, but if we escalate things, then you might not have a choice. And
I'm going to instigate that.
Welcome back to Operation Audit, where we take a closer look at controversial public encounters, examine police conduct, explore legal issues, defend the rights of ordinary people, and hold public bodies accountable for their actions. Today's video features footage from NB Media UK, so if you'd like to see more of their work, you'll find a link in the description below. In this incident, NB Media visits East Midlands Airport after first obtaining permission to take photographs, yet despite receiving that approval, airport staff still decide to involve the police. From the moment officers arrive, they seem focused on finding a reason to justify the call, repeatedly asking for information they have no legal authority to demand, simply because someone felt uncomfortable seeing a camera. Instead of questioning why perfectly lawful photography had been treated as a policing matter in the first place, the officers approach the situation as though innocent activity must somehow be suspicious, continuing to press the issue even after it becomes clear that no offense has been committed. What follows raises even more questions, because once it becomes obvious the law provides no grounds for action, the focus shifts away from enforcement and towards removing NB Media from the airport instead.
Have you got details?
so it's how you speak to people.
They've got permission from the airport.
No. Have you got details?
No,
Can we get the details? Can you speak to the duty manager?
Yeah.
Ask him.
Look, it was
See.
Lynn Groves, wasn't it, on that thing we gave you?
Speak to the duty manager.
Do you suspect us of committing any crimes?
I suspect of you that you've not got proper permission. And
Right,
as
it's
far
just
as
shown
I'm
him.
concerned, if I speak to the duty manager and they say they don't want you on the airport, we'll get you banned from the airport.
Wow.
So
Have you got any identification on you,
I
fella?
haven't got any on me, no.
What's your name, buddy?
Am I obliged to give it you?
Crime would be criminal.
It would help with
I'm
our
not being
inquiries, yeah, 'cause we
awkward,
don't
but,
want to make it any more difficult for you.
Right.
So I just want to check you out in our system to make sure you aren't any sort of security threat to the airport or us.
Right.
So it's up to you.
Yeah.
At this stage you don't, but if we escalate things, then you might not have a choice. And
I'm going to instigate that, yeah.
so,
Because as far
what's your
as I'm
name, mate?
concerned,
Right.
you
I'd
have
rather
permission to do
not
what
give
you
it you at
do.
the moment, if that's
that's
okay.
fine. Suits me.
Yeah, if I'm not obliged to.
Forthcoming with any.
I mean, are we suspected of
No, you've
anything?
said no, mate. So don't worry about that.
But are we suspected of anything?
From a public footpath, a member of the public can take photographs.
You're not suspected of anything. What we're saying is, have you got the right permission to be
It's just shown
filming on
you.
a security
Yeah, it's just shown you the permission.
restrictive area? Well, no, we've
From
seen
a-
an email from a female that we don't know.
Right.
She's not management at the airport, as far as
Why are
we're
you
aware,
taking photographs?
and you need it from
And I'm
management.
asking you a question. Where
Where
are you
does
taking
it say that
photographs?
anywhere in there is a restricted area?
Lots of places. If you actually look
Can
on
you
the.
show- could you
If
show-
you
could you show me
can you let me finish?
If you can show me a
If you let me finish.
NB Media immediately provides the officers with the email confirming that permission to photograph the airport had already been approved. Rather than accepting that as a simple explanation that resolved the concern, the officers carry on as though the written authorization makes little difference. They even accuse NB Media of being argumentative, although the footage shows a measured exchange with calm answers and reasonable questions throughout. The discussion then takes a more serious turn when terrorism is brought into the conversation. While airports are undoubtedly locations where officers are expected to remain alert, any suspicion must be based on objective facts rather than the mere presence of a camera. Under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act 2000, those powers can only be used where an officer has reasonable grounds to suspect that the individual is involved in terrorism.
If you let me finish. No, it's you that's interrupting me, and I will get ratty if I want to get ratty. All the perimeter fencing, every 20 metres has got security signs on it. All right. And as far as I'm concerned, we're going to take your details. Why are you recording? No, we haven't got your details.
No, you're done saying what you were saying.
Why are you
About the
recording?
perimeter fencing, because there's no perimeter fencing on that footpath there. It's all over there.
This is private land. This is private land.
Oh, right. Do you suspect me of committing a crime?
I've said my piece, and that's all I'm saying. So
that's
we'll
a
take
no. That's a no.
we'll
Then,
take
yeah?
your details.
Do you suspect me of committing a crime?
We'll
Yes
take
or
your
no?
details, and we'll get the duty manager to say that you're not allowed to be on the airport.
This chap's refusing details, so
Right, okay.
Because
I know yesterday was
Is
So
there any
you're
reason
gonna
why
say
you're
something?
being difficult, mate? I'm asking.
Despite being told from the outset that NB Media had written approval to take photographs around the airport, the officer quickly shifts his focus to obtaining personal details, without first explaining what legal power would entitle him to demand that information. He then begins questioning whether the permission itself is legitimate, even though the very reason for the police attendance was based on that same authorization already being shown to airport staff. Any genuine suspicion should be rooted in objective evidence, not in dismissing information simply because it conflicts with a conclusion that has already been reached. When NB Media asks the officers to explain exactly what offense is alleged to have been committed, no clear answer is ever given. Rather than identifying any criminal conduct, the conversation suddenly turns toward removing NB Media from the airport instead, a change in approach that says a great deal about how the encounter is unfolding.
I'm not being difficult, mate. I'm asking you civilly. Because we were overly polite with you.
I'm standing up for my rights, that's all. If I'm not
Right.
obliged to give you details, then I
So
won't.
police officers in uniform come along after we've had a complaint of how you spoke to people. You're in a high security area of an airport. The current threat nationally is severe. We don't know you from Adam. We've come along, asked you what you're up to, and straight away you had attitude with us. We didn't with you, and you've been. I don't understand why. If you've got nothing to hide, why wouldn't you be polite and just say, "Here's my ID, mate. Here's the email." We'd do a couple of checks, and that's it. But
Because
you're
I'm-
making a
because I'm not
drama
obliged
out of
to,
nothing.
And you didn't ask me for my details immediately.
So why are you taking that stance if you're not obliged to? I don't understand that, because I wouldn't. If I was out photographing, which is your hobby, I get it. Why would you be difficult with the cops when they come along to check you out? If we're just trying to do everyone a
I wouldn't
service.
say we're being difficult by asking you a question.
Well, yeah,
And
you've been
asked us a
problematic
question.
and you've been difficult with us, and you're
Okay.
clearly anti-police.
We've spoke to the manager.
Not at all, I'm not
Lynn
a
Groves. Lynn Groves is only a property officer. She's not even.
As the conversation develops, the officers seem to move away from the reasoning they initially relied upon, replacing it with a new explanation once the earlier justification begins to lose credibility. They now argue that the written permission to take photographs carries little value because it was not issued directly by airport management. Even if that point were correct, it would remain an issue for the airport to resolve internally and would not on its own create a criminal matter or automatically warrant police intervention. The exchange becomes increasingly uncertain when attention turns to whether the location is private property, while NB Media continues to state that they are standing on a public footpath. If that claim is accurate, establishing the precise boundary would seem the logical first step before drawing any conclusions. Throughout all of this, the officers repeatedly ask for personal details, yet they never identify the specific legal power that would allow them to compel that information. In England and Wales, officers cannot simply require someone to provide their name and address out of curiosity. Any such demand must be supported by a clearly defined statutory power.
Anything to do with the actual managing of the airport at all.
Well,
We've spoke to.
You've seen on the email, it was her that emailed
We've
me,
spoke
wasn't
to the duty manager. You don't have permission. She's not going to give you permission. Okay. Obviously, we won't be doing our job. This is a security sensitive area. We won't be doing our job if we didn't check people who are taking photographs of a security restricted area. Yeah. Obviously, you've got some sophisticated equipment here. We don't know how close you can get to stuff, what you can take photographs of. So we need to.
The discussion then shifts once again as one of the officers proposes contacting the duty manager in an effort to have NB Media's photography permission withdrawn altogether. At that stage, the focus appears to move away from establishing whether any offense has actually been committed and instead towards finding an alternative means of removing them from the location. The second officer offers little to resolve the uncertainty, suggesting that NB Media are somehow being difficult or acting unusually simply because they choose not to disclose their personal details. Yet exercising a lawful right does not by itself amount to suspicious behavior. If the officers genuinely believe there is a legal requirement for someone to identify themselves, they should be able to point to the specific statutory power that imposes that obligation.
To give you any details, and we're not suspected of any crime, so
I'm asking the gentleman's first name.
yeah.
I'm not asking for his date of birth
Yeah,
or his address. I'm asking
No,
for
I know
his
that,
first
yeah,
name.
yeah,
His signature, instead of saying,
Yeah.
oi.
But he's speaking to him, isn't he? But you don't suspect us of. You've seen what's on here, haven't you?
Because you're taking photographs of a restricted area. Is there any reason why you're being awkward?
I'm not being awkward, I just know what's right and what's wrong. I've done nothing wrong today, at all, other than ask you guys some questions.
Well,
I've asked you what section of 24, or whatever section of PACE I am lawfully, legally obliged to give you my details.
Well, like I said
But if
to
you can't answer that, I'm going to walk off there now.
Okay, well, you've got that, but
As the encounter continues, it becomes increasingly apparent that once NB Media begins questioning the officer's reasoning, the conversation drifts away from the legal issues and becomes more focused on personal characterizations. Instead of answering the points being raised, they begin portraying him as awkward, confrontational, or anti-police, while still failing to identify any legal duty requiring him to disclose his personal details. If the airport, through someone with the proper authority, later chooses to withdraw the permission that had been granted, that remains an issue of private property management rather than a means for police to obtain someone's name and address without the necessary legal authority. Perhaps the most concerning aspect of the exchange is the implication that declining to provide those details could influence how the matter is dealt with. Police decisions should be based on evidence that an offense has occurred or on the existence of a clearly established legal power, not on whether an individual decides to make an encounter more convenient for the officers.
to make sure that there's no ulterior motive here.
I'm committed here, I'm not a terrorist, nothing.
Well, we don't know that.
On.
I don't know who
I'm
you
just
are.
a member of the public with a camera.
But I don't know that.
It's no more complicated than that.
I don't know that.
There's nothing outstanding on me.
I don't know that because you're not giving me
your
details.
I'm telling you that.
So
If
you
you
know
don't
to
give
the
me your
police,
details, then obviously we'll have to decide what we're going to do further.
Are your photographs on a disc, but we can have a look and see what
Are you
you've
known
been
to
taking
the police?
It's just
sir?
on the card, on the memory
You
card.
said
on
there's
the
nothing
camera.
outstanding.
Hey.
photos? Look
That's,
at what you've been taking.
Yeah,
if you hadn't been
touchscreen,
in any sort of
First thing that got, one of the first things that got me interest was if you look up in that window there, see that cockpit in the window there? And also as we drove past this tail fin here, just a bit of
Go, keep going. Just flick through.
cockpit in the window there, yeah? Tail fin, that's about it. That's a video of something else.
Okay.
What's
Go
it?
the other way. Just go the other way.
That's it.
And then keep going. Any more? Any more? Keep going.
Mother-in-law, you don't want to see her, do you? So are you happy with that? There's nothing.
This one for you.
The what?
What's the last one for you?
What last one? It was to blur out the. It was just the fact that he was there. It was just to blur out the. Sorry?
What's this check?
Who?
This first.
I can't tell you that.
Why not?
Well, because it's not to me to tell you, is it? You know, I know, but I mean, if you know, I'm not being funny, but you know, you've already said, you know, we're not obliged to give you any detail.
Yeah, okay. That's all right. That's all we need.
I've got the date and time of the email.
Yeah, no, it's all right. That's all we need. So we can deal with it like that.
Are we free to go?
You're free to go, but like I said, you've not got permission to come back onto the airport land taking photographs.
Right.
That's from the manager of the airport. All right.
see you fellas, have a nice day.
Thanks
Cheers.
a lot.
To DHL.
No, so that we can.
Just tell DHL.
All
We've
we
spoken to
all
the
we need to do
photographers
is just
and-
make
and
sure.
it won't be back. Right?
No.
And that satisfies them.
Well, I just want to make sure that you're not here for any other reason. Else I wouldn't be doing my job. I mean, do you go on holiday? Do you fly and things like that?
No.
I guess you do.
What guessing
just-
games are you playing? No,
I'm
I
just-
don't play guessing games.
Why are you
We're
so
playing guessing
why are you
games.
so
I'm
obnoxious?
not playing guessing games over what section
Why are you
of
so
pace is
obnoxious?
relevant here. Why can't you answer the questions that I've asked
All I'm
you?
just
What
trying to-
section of pace applies?
Well,
I'm lawfully obliged to give you my
I'm trying
details.
to
Nothing
find
in
out.
pace specifies. Maybe they've made a mistake, but customer service sent an email from the website.
So you sent an email to the customer service
Off the website.
and she's emailed you back.
Yep.
Have you been here before? This is the first time.
Sorry?
It's the first time you've been here.
First time. Are we being detained at the moment?
We're asking questions, that's all we're doing.
I know.
We've done it. Thanks for the chat.
Two seconds, mate. Just wait to my colleague close out his inquiries for you. Just so we can put them out. So we're happy to police that you're no threat to us or the airport. That's all we're asking.
I'm not threatening you. I'm not threatening you. Public with a camera, taking pictures. Innocent snaps.
That's as
Nothing
far as it
hostile about
goes.
what I'm doing. Now, Are we being detained? And if so, on what
We'll
grounds?
tell you in about 10 seconds. He's just been speaking to the airport duty manager, trying to get a full picture, and you'll get an update now.
Was it yourself that emailed, was it?
Yeah.
The final moments of the encounter arguably reveal more than anything that came before. Once the sergeant is no longer able to give clear legal answers, the conversation moves away from the issues at hand and becomes increasingly personal, with NB Media being labeled awkward and obnoxious simply for asking officers to identify the powers they were relying upon. That falls well short of the standard many would expect from a supervising officer whose decisions are being challenged. Equally concerning is the uncertainty surrounding whether NB Media was actually free to leave. After asking directly if they were being detained, they are told the officers are simply asking questions, so they quite reasonably begin walking away. Only then does another officer follow them, still unable to provide a definite answer until the sergeant has spoken with the duty manager. If a person's freedom of movement is genuinely being restricted, that decision should be based on an established legal authority rather than waiting for the outcome of a phone call. In the end, the only clear outcome is that NB Media is told not to return because the airport has chosen to withdraw the permission previously granted. As the occupier of private land, the airport is entitled to make that decision, but that issue is entirely separate from whether the police had lawful authority to require personal details throughout the encounter. Repeatedly treating those two questions as though they are one and the same only adds to the confusion. What could have remained a routine interaction instead developed into an effort to justify decisions after they had already been made, rather than relying on clearly established legal powers from the beginning. Encounters of this nature inevitably raise concerns about public confidence whenever authority appears to take priority over a clear legal foundation. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, share your views in the comments, and subscribe for more independent coverage of public accountability and police encounters. Be sure to check out NB Media UK using the link in the description and support the original creator of the footage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.